Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. Today, Heather and I welcome Terri Suzuki from Kigaru Spiritual Journeys. And if you haven't had a spiritual journey with Terri Suzuki, you are missing out. Welcome, Terri. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, well, thanks for inviting me. I always love it. Look so forward to getting to tell my tales of wonder.
Oh, we love your Terry's tales. Some of my favorite times. So we're thrilled to have you back.
Yes,
Thanks.
always. Always.
Hey, Linda De Gonzalez and Miss Jenny. Welcome, 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 ladies. So, how is everyone on this beautiful Saturday?
Well,
It is a beautiful Saturday here.
yeah, it's raining here. It's not quite it's still green and beautiful, but
Yeah,
it's
but yeah, the rain brings the green and the beauty. So that's lovely. And I'm going to end up out in the red desert, so it's going to be really different to come to the Northwest. Yeah, it's going to be very strange. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
you'll get used to it.
Oh, yeah,
You can see the mountains.
exactly. Exactly. But Terry's got mountains and oceans and everything, forests and everything.
yeah.
Well, you would think in Denver you could see the mountains, but you can't.
No, you can't.
Oh,
That's so
I didn't know
true.
that.
No,
No,
you're in the
really.
middle, but you've got all these buildings. There's absolutely no sight of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Not
Well,
really. I would have liked to see the mountains, but oh well.
I can see the mountains from Fort Collins. I'm going to be driving up to Fort Collins and to meet up with my family, and you can definitely see the mountains from Fort Collins. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
When you're driving, you can see the mountains.
Yeah,
But
just in the city. Highlight worker.
cool.
Thanks for being here.
thank
Did
you.
anybody pull a card for today? I didn't.
No, but I will right now.
Why don't you while we're waiting for people to come in and before Terry starts her tales?
Well, I want to say hi to Linda De Gonzalez and Jenny because they are they're classmates of the Akashic Records. We learned together. So that was
Is that
fun.
right?
Yeah.
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 Well, we do have Archangel Sandophon with us today.
Oh, he's been coming up a lot.
Well, she's number 2 in you've got Metatron, then you've got her. And
Oh, it's a she.
she's actually, well,
I think it's a
they're
he,
both, but
brother.
she's in charge of the female
Okay,
feminine energy. So that's
interesting.
why I said she. But and it says with you now. So
Well, that's nice to know.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, come on down, hang out with us.
Yeah.
So, what kind of stories do you have for us today, Miss Terry?
Oh my God.
Oh my God!
I have some good ones.
Oh, good.
So just to kind of so I recently went to an in-person metaphysical fair in our area in the Pacific Northwest. They're called MeWe fairs or metaphysical and wellness fairs. And I got my Terry's Tales tank all the way filled up.
Wow, lots of stuff to talk about. That's
Yes,
really neat that they call them that now. When Heather and I were going to fairs way back in Texas in 2009, 2010, and it was psychic fairs. That's period. And most of them had wellness stuff with them, but they were all psychic fairs.
Yeah, that's what they called it.
Yeah. Well,
Well, psychic and metaphysical, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
there was one that was fairly large. It was a weekend.
Yeah. Well, this particular, there's a couple different businesses that do that, and this particular one, MeWe, is just a really nice one. She really goes out of her way to book 2-day weekends and to make sure that a lot of advertising goes on, so a lot of people get the message, and it tends to be a good event. And there's a good mix of people selling crystals and psychics and psychic mediums and people
Love it.
doing cranial facial
Mm-hmm.
things
Tarot
and
card readers.
yeah, and sound bowl healings, all sorts of
Cool.
things.
Yeah,
So
energy healer. Yeah.
yeah. So this particular fair, I made a mistake. So I had been programmed to go to the fair near me in Bellevue, and unfortunately it snowed that day, so I had to move. They just moved my payments and everything to the Seattle fair, and this was the first time in Seattle.
Oh,
And
right.
but she moved my talks wrong. I had meant to talk for an hour each day in the room, and I wanted to just do mini readings like I do on Allie's show,
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to do one day, though, I just wanted to talk about the Akashic Records and do a demo. But she accidentally put me up for 2 days of mini readings. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do mini readings. So I'm not as happy about that. And, but the good thing is that on a Saturday, the first day, I was like one of the first speakers. And that's really good because
Yeah.
then people see you and then maybe book you.
Yeah.
And as I was getting ready to go, and I'm going to take this time just to back up a second here. So, as a psychic and a medium, and even an Akashic Records master, so as a psychic and medium, though, I'm clairvoyant and claircognizant. So that means they show me a little movie or pictures that I can interact with. Um, and then claircognizant is just like telepathy, right straight to my brain. When you hear me say, I heard them say, I didn't really hear them say, I just knew. I just know what they were saying.
Right.
Uh, so my first strongest sense is clairvoyance and then claircognizance. However, when I read the Akashic, so I call that right-handed because I've been doing that longer.
Right. Right.
I'm right-handed then.
Right.
However, when I'm reading the Akashic Records, I call it left-handed because they switch my senses. My first sense is claircognizant. They're putting the words right in my head. And then the secondary thing is clairvoyance. Then they show me pictures if I need them. And so I am still learning to negotiate that.
Right.
So in order to go to this to do mini readings, I have to, dial into my
A different side of your brain.
right, yeah, my right
Yeah.
hand
Yeah.
side. So as I was, but I was really disappointed. I really wanted to share about the Akashic Records. And I thought, well, there's also an Akashic Records reader here, and she's going to talk about it. So I guess that's okay. But as I always take a little book, piece of paper with me to the room, because I need to ask their first names. And then often, if they want to talk to a loved one, I need to write down their name
Sure.
and relationship so I can get them fast. And there will be too many people in the day for me to even remotely remember anybody's names. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so I take the little piece of paper with me. And as I was picking up the piece of paper, I almost became clairaudient because I heard my Akashic Records master say, oh, don't forget your Akashic Records papers, slip it into your book. And I'm like, okay. So I did. I went down there fully intending to do mini readings. But when I got down there, I realized, hey, I don't have that big of an audience. So I explained to the audience what I do as a psychic medium, what kind of questions they could ask. And then I explained, I'm also an Akashic Records reader, and this is what I do, and this is what they ask. Can I have a show of hands of who's going to ask a psychic medium question and who wants to ask an Akashic record? And it turned out they all wanted their Akashic Records read.
I love that.
So I,
Spirit has a way of getting you to do what they want you to do.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about it. They wanted you to do Akashic Records reading.
right, but not a demo. They just wanted me to do it
Yeah,
live. So
that's
I
brilliant.
whipped out my prayer of protection and my key, and I did it for everybody, and then just went through the audience one at a time.
I love it.
And I also sent my questions around. So I have the kind of questions that you could ask for now. I mean, if they wanted to read about past lives, it's okay, but I'll
Mhm.
do that too. But if not, if you have questions about now, which I find much more exciting, um,
Yes, me
you
too.
know, go ahead and do it. So I sent them around. And so this particular one, all I did was read the Akashic Records. And wow. So I'm going to tell you a few of the highlights of that day. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
oh my God. So most of the people in that room didn't really know too much. They weren't quite sure what to ask. So most of them just wanted to meet their Akashic Records masters, wanted to meet their teams.
Cool.
And boy, did I see some teams. Oh my God, I saw some teams. So the the first one that kind of just got me just like jaw dropped. So one lady's like, she wanted to see her team, and I'm like looking at her team and doing what I do to go talk to the teams, and I'm like, oh wow, you got a big team. She had five. I haven't
Wow.
really seen that too many. Five Akashic Records masters. And one of them was a rock star. I could tell right away this is a rock star. Now, now I'm not that musically oriented, but they immediately told me, yeah, you're right. That is a rock star there. And I'm like, well, who is that? Who are you, sir? It was Paul Revere Dick. Paul Revere
And the
of
Raiders?
Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm just like, wow. And the guy in the audience who there's this one man that came to all my shows, and he like Googled it. He did a Sun Psychic Gene on me. He Googled it so fast, and he's like, is that who you're talking about? And I'm like, yeah. And so he whips around and shows it to the lady. This guy's on your team.
How cute is that?
Uh,
That's
However, I
neat.
had to double check it, because even I sometimes am a little skeptical. And I said to the
Yeah,
guy,
I hear you.
I'm like, is Paul dead? And he's like, yep. And I'm like,
That's
I
good.
didn't know. I didn't know. I'm not that. I don't follow
No, I
these.
wouldn't have known either. I wouldn't have had
Yeah.
any idea whether they were any
Mhm.
of them were still alive or dead.
Right.
That was a long time ago.
Right. So that was very interesting. And I didn't know that maybe you can have other jobs up there. And I did look up later. He died in 2014, so he hasn't been gone very long. But
Right.
of course, time doesn't exist over there. So,
Interesting.
anyway, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then somebody else had Lashmi on her team. She had
Wow.
three. She had Lashmi. So just in case, I'm sure everybody already knows, but Lashmi is the goddess, the Hindu goddess of wealth. And yeah,
Jenny
Lash,
says Paul Revere's parents lived in my neighborhood when I was in high school. Woo!
Jenny, wow.
Fun.
Um, yeah. So I was so kind of surprised to see Lashmi. I was like, wow, because I've seen
Yeah.
her before and a few other things and a few psychic journeys and stuff and spiritual journeys. And then a couple ladies asked me about their path. And while this isn't as shocking as some of those, I thought it was important because each of their paths showed them, it just showed a very lighted path. It showed a path to me that looked happy, that looked healthy, that looked like they were just illuminating their own path. And so what I got from those was that sometimes our jobs here on earth are not to appear on YouTube and do things like this. Sometimes our job is just to be there and spread the light.
That's so
And that,
true. Isn't
yeah.
it beautiful that you don't have to do anything like we were instructed to do?
I mean, but that's still
It's
just
beautiful.
a very important journey because the people around them, and one of them I could tell that eventually her journey also involves helping people reach better health and wellness. That was part of her
It's
journey.
lovely.
So that was mind blowing. I love that. So the
I love
lady,
that too. I just got a vision of 2 girls skipping along a path and the lights, you said the starry, the bright lights or whatever. It was like, those balls that go in the wind, not dandelions, but they were
yeah,
light,
oh,
but they
yeah,
were sparkling lights. That's what I saw in my head when
yeah. Well, that's
oh,
pretty much
fun.
what these two ladies get to do, and
That's
that's
cool.
very cool.
That is
Um,
really cool.
so the lady who had five, she followed me back to my booth when I was done and said, "Can we keep going? I want to meet them all," because she only met Paul.
Right.
And so we sat down and did that. And there's just one more I'm going to tell you about from her team. Um, I will have to say the one thing during a show that is not in my favor is I can't record them.
Mhm.
So um, when I'm doing Akashic Records, it's almost like channeling. So I don't always remember
Right.
everything. So I had to make sure to write things down a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but the second uh, Akashic Records master on her team was dressed in feathers and also a very white outfit with feathers and
Wow.
I recognized right away that she was from a tribe just south of Mexico City.
Cool.
And she said, "Yes, I'm from a tribe. When I was embodied, I was from a tribe just above Mexico City, just north of it.
Right.
And I uh, I took care of my tribe. I was their shaman. I was their medicine woman. I did everything to try to keep them safe and well and happy and all of that. And then she said, "Oh, and by the way, I traveled to, I wrote it down, Teotihuacan, the pyramids just south of Mexico City." She said,
Been there.
"Now, I've been there in person and I've been there in spiritual journeys, several spiritual journeys before." And she said, and that's why she brought it up to my attention because at least I knew it. And
Mhm.
she said, "I went to Tiwa, Teotihuacan, and she says, I was blessed there. I was given
Wow.
a blessing and an attunement. And
Interesting.
I was able to go back to my tribe and do an even better job taking care of them."
Good.
And I was it. The thing is, so she told me her name was Carmelita, and that was her name that she's using right now. I don't know if that was her name in body, but
Mhm.
I swear that was why that reading stuck in my head so much because I feel like I knew her.
Huh.
I just feel like I know her somehow.
Did you ask her?
I didn't because I was reading the lady. It's just
Yeah.
later on I'm like, wow, I really feel like I know her. Like
Maybe
she's a
go
good,
back in a journey and see if you can talk to her.
yeah. I'll have to because I really felt like I knew her. And
Yeah, I think you should go delve into that a little more
Yeah.
yeah,
Go
for
down
yourself.
the rabbit hole.
yeah. Um,
That's cool.
right. So the next day, I had a real mixed bag because I went back into the room and there was a bigger audience. And when I asked them the same question, they had some people wanted the psychic medium, some people wanted the other.
Oh
And
dear.
you know what? I told him about my hands. And I said, so, you know, you might have to be patient with me. I might not get to everybody, but going to give it a shot. So I said the Akashic record, the prayer of protection and the key. And when I said the key, I'm like, for those who want it, not,
Yeah.
you know, so I didn't open up everybody's key. And oh my God, oh my God. So right off the bat, I started on the right hand of the room and moved the other way. Right off the bat, this young lady sitting in the front row, very tall, blonde, but very pale, very mousy, you know, kind of.
Mhm.
And I thought maybe she'd be too shy to even ask a question, but she asked it. And so she asked, "What was I in my previous life?"
What was I? Not who
So
was I?
I clocked that. I clocked.
Whoa.
You said, "What was I?" Not who was I. What was I? And I'm like, I did clock that, but
All
I didn't.
blonde and pale.
Yeah, I didn't worry too much about it. I just thought we would go see another life. And so I got into it. Remember, she's the first reading of that thing. And as I opened my spiritual eyes, I saw a dragon, a freaking dragon. The dragon was curled up on its side sleeping. And it was kind of had a gray base. And it looked like a lizard really, except for very, very big.
A
And
big
then
lizard.
yeah, and then it went into kind of green and then kind of a neon green, then yellow, and it had like a frilly head. And as I'm looking at it, it opens its eye and it's got this huge yellow eye looking back at me. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, it's a dragon. I'm thinking, holy shit.
How do I tell this girl?
How I'm like, this is the first reading of the day, and maybe they're all going to just call the paddy wagon and have me taken away at this point, you know, because they're going to think I'm a little nuts, and I'm like, kind of talking to my guides, like, really, I got to say this, you know, and they're like, mm-hmm, and I'm like, okay, you were a dragon. And then I described the dragon. I said, you were not here on this earth when you were a dragon. You're in some other realm. I don't actually know where, and I described the dragon, and I'm thinking this is done. And they take over. They take over what I'm saying. And they say, oh, by the way, you've always been human in your other lives, at least the other most recent lives. And they said, if that you are having gut problems or any sort of allergy problems, it's because you are having trouble getting used to the human body again. It'll it
Wow.
it will even out. And I'm like,
What did she say to that?
yeah, she didn't say anything. And she didn't blink either. She didn't like suddenly think like, "Oh, that's no." She must have known. She must have already clocked this, and so I'm just like, okay, I got to go on. I got to talk to other people, but I don't have time to explain everything to her. I said, not on Earth, somewhere else. I don't know where. And I turned around to get my book, but I forgot to take the microphone away from my mouth.
Oops.
And I said, "Ooh, you learn something new every day." So I think they knew I was just about as shocked as they were. So I was really
That's
happy.
fabulous.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Nobody ran out of the room. Nobody,
Nobody ran out of the
nobody
room. That's a good
called
thing.
911 to have me picked up. They just started asking their questions, so that was cool. Um, in that particular session, another thing happened that I was happy about because I liked how brave this woman was. This woman was really brave.
Okay.
And, you know, when you're in a big crowd like that, you don't want to look bad. You don't want to look people to think you're bad. You know, you want to put your best foot forward. But we were kind of near the end. And so she just had to go for it. And she said, she chose that question on my list that says, how can I attune myself to the energy of abundance and wealth? She asked it.
Wow.
in front of everybody, God and everybody.
God and everybody.
And I was,
Good
I
for
was,
her.
I was okay. Well, we're going to give that a shot because I'm there to read for them, right? I'm not going to say, oh, you can't ask that. I put it on the question list, so you can ask that.
She went there.
So I was so I tuned into my spirit guides and hers, and they're like, "Yep, we're going to do that." And I'm like, "Okay, how are you going to do that?" You know, and they sent Lashmi. Lashmi wasn't on her team, but remember, they can be in more places than one. They
Sure.
sent Lashmi. Lashmi came between me and her. I could see Lashmi between
Wow.
me and her, and she sprayed out her lavender light everywhere. And then Lashmi did an attunement on this lady.
Wow.
And I think, I'm not completely sure, but I think had enough here to say, by the way, you guys, if you want on in on this, just say yes. You know,
Yes.
Lashmi came in. Lashmi came in and did an attunement. She made my whole vision look this light lavender and gold sparkles kind of coming down, and I don't
Wow.
even remember what she did, but it was fabulous. It was fabulous.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
I know. I
Wouldn't
want
you
to
love
know
to
what.
talk to that lady, a year from now?
Oh, I would love to hear from her. I did say that abundance can be more things. I said one thing because she came with 3 other friends. One thing is your abundance of friends right here. That's
Mhm.
part of abundance too. So don't forget that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Lashmi, I was just so thrilled.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it is.
So, so that is, so I'm really encouraging people not to hold back. If you're going to book an Akashic record reading, ask what you want to ask.
Absolutely.
Do
Don't
it
Mhm.
be afraid
because
to ask. And Terry, actually, all three of us read Akashic Records. We've all three did the class and read.
Mhm.
And Terry Suzuki's details are in the description of this video. So you can get hold of her. I guarantee you, she just
Yes.
read mine the other day for me. And it was an incredible reading, as always, Miss Terry.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, but I highly encourage you to have an Akashic Records reading or healing even with Terry, because
Yeah.
things can be healed. Like my left leg that Terry healed about 3 months ago. Well, the
Wow.
Akashic Records masters healed.
Yeah. I'm just the conduit.
Yeah.
Um, so that one was great. Even Lashmi's white elephants came in.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, yeah, we got it going on here.
Sounds
Um,
beautiful.
so I have a couple more, but I'm going to tell you the one that just
Oh,
freaking blew my mind the most. Yeah. So is there any questions in the audience before we move on to the one that's
no, I didn't really get any questions because I forgot to put up the banner.
okay?
We
I
did
get
get the
involved
prize.
in your stories and just blew it. So, you guys, if
Yeah.
you have any questions, please, please, please ask questions. And hi, Morella and Laurie. Welcome, 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 ladies. And Viviani, thank you.
Mhm.
Viviani recommends getting a spiritual journey reading with Terry, too.
Yeah.
Those of us that have done it,
It's
I've done many a journey with her.
unique.
It
Right.
is very unique. Very
Yes.
unique.
Yeah.
So, what's your next? Because we're only a half hour in, girlfriend. You still
Yeah.
got.
Well, this one's going to take a while. I can tell
Oh,
you that.
okay.
Okay.
Let me get ready.
So
That's good.
a young lady, maybe early 30s, came to my booth, and she wanted to be read. And she said, "But there's some things I need to tell you first." Now, I usually don't like people to tell me things first. I really, really like not knowing a lot so that I don't feel like I have stacked.
Influenced it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she said,
Just one
I must.
second. Linda Day Gonzalez says, that freaked you out more than a dragon. I thought that was good.
Linda, you're going to see why in just a moment here. You're going to see why. Because I had no clue of what was about to happen. So the young woman, she said, I've been married 10 years to my husband. We have a 1-year-old son right now. She said, I have just learned that my husband has been going to prostitutes. And I am heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And I just don't know if I should divorce him or not. I just don't know what to do. Should I, And she said, here's what else you need to know. 2 other psychics have read me before, and both of them said, whoa, you are not human. You're human right now in this life, but before this and after this, you were an angel. You've always been an angel. And your job, you came down here to experience human relationships so that you can do a better job when you go back.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay,
Cool.
okay, well, let's start there.
Let's see.
Let's start there. So I tap into my Akashic record masters and my the whole team, and they said, "Yep, that's right." And I'm like, "Okay, so let's." They're saying yes, this is right. So let's just say that's our ground rule here. This is
Right.
our ground. This is where we're going to start from. So
Oh,
I
cool.
I told her I'm gonna use the Akashic records to ask your question about whether you should stay or go or whatever. So okay, so I tap into my Akashic records, and as you know, if you've ever had me read your Akashic records or practiced with me, I'm very polite to them. I'm very almost weirdly
Reverent.
oldly old world, like, dear Akashic Records Masters, it's so exciting to see you today. I mean, I'm like very, I greet them. I greet them mine by name because I know their names. And then the way I see them in my head is it's like mine are in a little house. When I go to see them just by myself, um, I have a little English cottage that they like to hang out in with me.
Cool.
And so I kind of see them in a little house over them. And then I always see like a little fence to the left, and the person I'm reading, their Akashic Records Masters are in a little house over there. But there's a little bit of a fence. I can't directly see them. So I greet mine. And usually what I do is then I call over to the other ones and I say, I'm going to call her Susie. Susie's Akashic Records Masters. How are you doing? We're here. Susie has some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Silence, dead silence. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm not in the groove enough. Maybe
Wow.
and I call over again. Hey, Susie's Akashic Records Masters, we'd really like to talk to you. And I'm like, to my Akashic Records, hey, can you get them to answer? And they're kind of like, and I'm like, what? And I'm
Wow.
like, what is going on here? And so I go on the other side of the fence and look at them, and there are 3 white statues. They look like angels to me, but they're made out of white granite. They're statues. They are statues. So since I'm already over there, I'm like, dear Akashic Record Masters of Suze, we'd really like to talk to you. She has some questions. Nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
They're granite statues. Nothing. And I'm like, oh,
What do I do now?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this a little while, and I've been doing it with some really cool people. who have experienced not exactly like this, but other things like this. And it came to my mind, oh, talk to her. So I then turned to her and I said, Susie, this is going to sound a little weird, but would you please do this for me? And I need you to do this out loud. I want you to say, dear Akashic Records masters of mine, would you please talk to Terri? And so she did it out loud, and the statues melted and became alive.
Whoa. Was it because you had done a generic one? You hadn't done that with her?
Hang on. You'll figure out what happened in a moment.
Okay.
So I also want to go back a second and tell you that almost always when the Akashic Records masters are speaking to us, they are so loving. They are so gentle. It's rare. I have never really heard one. I mean, they make jokes. They can be funny, really funny, but in general, quite loving. Not
And compassionate.
Okay.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So once they melted, I heard a little
How cool is
crankiness.
that? It melted in front of you.
Yeah.
I saw that they are living, breathing. Well, living. I don't know if angels breathe, but
You're right. I don't either.
but they're like, we told you this was a bad idea. Not to me, they're talking to her. We told you this was a bad idea. We're your team. We knew you needed us. We were always supposed to be doing this together. We love you still, but we were supposed to be a team. We told you it was a bad idea to freeze us. You didn't have to do it alone. And I'm like, oh,
This is crazy.
okay. So I'm like, well, that is the first time I've heard any tiny bit of
Frustration.
and they're like, so they start to talk to her and they say, do you remember that we sent you down there to learn about human relationships? They hissed at her. So even though we sent you down there to explore many relationships, you still have free will. If you want to stay with this one guy for the rest of your life and try to make it work, you can. You absolutely can. But we think you have
came to look at relationships.
Right. They're like, you think that there's a big ding against you if you do this, that you won't be invited back to the angel committee, or what they didn't say committee. It's fine. You were supposed to go do a lot of relationships. We don't care if you divorce him. That isn't a check mark against you. That's not that. You're supposed to live your life over there as a human and explore these relationships. You need to feel love and heartbreak, and you got to feel it all. It's not. And so after they said that, they had an angel business meeting. I am talking for them. I am talking to her in the meeting. She's talking to them. It's a business meeting. Things are going on. I am not there though. At that point, I'm invited out of the meeting, just using my mouth.
Right.
I'm not hearing what they're saying even.
Right.
I'm out of it. And so what they're doing instead is they're showing me her life path, the life path. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. I get it. Okay. So I'm busy exploring this while they're having a meeting.
That's hilarious.
They're having a business meeting. I do not know what all was said. I mean, I only heard that first part of it, but it was going on. It went on for a while. And then finally, when they were done, then they brought me back. And I'm like, okay, they're done with the business meeting portion.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like, okay, so while you guys were having your meeting, they were showing me your life path. And I'm sorry to tell you, but I can see an off ramp for this relationship. I'm you of course can stay on it, but they're showing me the off ramp and where it's at and how, and I said, I think you're gonna take it. I think you're gonna divorce him. It makes more sense. And she must have known everything that was up, man, because she asked a fabulous question right then and there. She's like, is my husband or soon to be ex, you know, is he soul family?
Whoa.
And I'm like, I know, what a great question. And
Wow.
so I take a look at that. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. And the way they showed me he wasn't soul family is he was a comet just going through
Right.
a comet.
Yeah.
She just grabbed a guy to have a relationship with, and he's supposed to keep going.
Right.
And because I knew that scared her a little bit, I said, I can see parts of your soul family. Your parents are soul family, your son is soul family. This guy's not soul family. I said, however, you should also realize now your son is part of his soul family as well. He's in multiple soul families.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then they went on to give her instructions about like how to divorce him.
Wow.
Like in other words, there's no hurry here, no hurry whatsoever. And she can make plans.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they like tell them about your divorce, and I'm like, okay, but mine was like that. It was planned. Where that I knew I had 1 year. My guys had already told me in 1 year I was going to get a divorce for sure, and that I should make the most of it. I should plan, I should save money, I should get ready, I should do everything I can do to make sure that this is going to be
Wow.
a good start.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we had to do some thing that normally would have drove me crazy to do with my husband, you know, it was actually all right because I would
There was an
we would,
exit.
we would do something and a little voice in my head said, oh, well, that's the last time you have to do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And, actually, my poor ex-husband, who I am still friends with, he's a nice guy, but he was so surprised at the end of that year because that was the best year of our marriage.
Because you didn't
I
care.
was like, what? Why? Anyway, but so basically they wanted her to know that so that she could plan this, so she could
Sure.
do it gently and get ready for it. So
Yeah.
Wow. What an experience.
Right.
and so I left her Akashic records open to her, closed to me and anyone else, but
Mm-hmm.
open to her so they could keep on the conversation. And she did not refreeze them either. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, because they're supposed to be a team, and so she got it.
I'd never heard of freezing them.
I think she thought she could do it alone. I think she had some
Well,
pride in her.
I think a lot
Yes,
of us
I
thought we
got
could
this.
be
No,
so
you
hard.
don't.
It seems like that's what happens is we think we've got this, and then we get here and we ain't got shit.
Mm. That is
We've totally forgotten everything we thought we were gonna be able to figure
Right.
out.
yeah.
But so that one was absolutely freaking mind-blowing to me. I did not know that my mind could be in two places doing two different things. Or maybe not mine,
Right.
spirit. I don't know what happened there. Something happened.
Well, Priscilla used to go with David and leave her body for me to talk to whoever was in it. And she never heard anything. She just went with David.
Yeah, I don't know where I went,
Yeah.
but they would give whatever message and then
And then she'd be
I'd
back.
come back.
Oh my gosh. We got to read that one out loud.
Okay, so Harley says, "Oh my God, Terry, I was watching Dr. Gale earlier when you said the guy was a comet. I thought he was a real comet. I thought it was an astro-metaphysical relationships." Oh,
I don't think so. I think that they showed me Comet to show the temporariness
yeah,
of this
the
person.
temporariness of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. That's wild.
That one was wild. That one, that was
Linda
after
says, "Okay, that was weirder than a dragon. I have to."
Yeah, a dragon I would have seen as a pet. Big pet, but a pet.
right. Well,
But
it
we're
was
familiar with dragons, so
right,
it,
right. And it wasn't lost on me that this is the year of the dragon too. And
Right.
yeah, and it really, after I was thinking about that dragon reading a little bit more, it was like just it really stood out that she said, "What was I?" Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Well, you wanna hear something weird about dragons? I
sure.
I want to do, a wrap on my van that is the color of my dragon,
Oh,
which
oh,
is
now
like a
that will be cool.
opalescent purple, pinkish
Pinkish
blue.
purple,
You
yeah,
know how that does in the sunlight? That's what
yeah,
I wanna do with
yeah.
my van,
Whereas mine is opalescent blue, hers is opalescent, more of a pink or red or whatever.
pink and purple.
Mhm.
right. Well, I'll tell you my last one. This one
Okay.
was a psychic medium. Well, actually, no, this was Akashic and psychic medium both. So a young woman, I guess maybe early 30s, sat down and she this was her first reading ever, but she was gonna get her money's worth, man. She didn't say that, but her how we ran this one was she just hit me with questions, just boom, 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 boom,
Wow.
just
Go
like
ahead.
through it really quick. And like her parents had already died and had died young, and so she didn't think she was going to live very long. They showed me her being a grandma taking care of her kids. She's going to live a long time. And
That's
then
nice.
they other things, like she wanted to know, am I going to get a raise at work? And I'm like, yeah, in the fall you're going to get the raise. And I see that they're already looking at you, and you think it's going to come soon, like in April, but it's not, because there's some sort of budgetary problem. They they have to go back and look at the budget, but they will award it in the fall. So,
Right.
and uh, but then they said, and if you they told her, don't go cheap, don't go cheap. They're
Okay.
like, make sure you hold out for a lot of money, because I think she works in IT. She didn't tell me, but I'm pretty sure she does. And sorry, that's just psychic that.
Psychic stuff.
And what I noticed about this girl's spirit is, a woman's spirit, she was so brave, so brave, so, so she was not afraid to ask any of these questions. She was not afraid of anything I was going to say. And it was fabulous, really fabulous reading. And then we kind of she did these so fast, we almost ran out of time. And she said, well, tell me about a past life. That past life hit me so fast and hard. It was incredible.
Wow. Her
So
energy was involved in that.
Yeah.
she so I opened my eyes and I was looking at her as a man in Mongolia
Wow.
with a big fur hat on, and absolutely everything this girl was. So brave. So just like that, because they were like right here staring me eye to eye and went, and I'm like, no. And then I could see, I'm like, oh my goodness, you're a sister husband. Because, in Mongolia, the Mongolian women marry lots of men. They
Oh,
marry just one man. And I said that doesn't stop you at all. You're a good rider. Every time there's summer games, you're riding your horse, you're winning them all. You're a good provider. You bring back lots of food to the household. You are scared of nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
And you have lived life all the way to the end. You have lived it all, done it all. Um, and uh, I didn't see the death, but I don't really think I had to. He was so unbelievable. I could see the very same feelings and strengths in her as in him. It was
That's
like
really
she
cool.
she was just channeling him. It was incredible. I've never been so eye to eye with somebody before on the other side, just right
Wow.
in my face. But it's
Now, can
super.
didn't you used to see people on a stage?
Yeah, yeah. But he wasn't on a stage. He was
No,
he
it was
was
right here.
he was in the plains there. I mean, I was already over there looking straight
Wow.
eye to eye, probably, toe to toe with him or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it was fabulous, really fabulous. So
God, what great stories you got from that fair.
that one, that's why I called you right after it. Hey, Priscilla, my Terry's Tales tanks are completely full.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that. Ah, well, thanks for being here and doing that today. Do you have any more? Is that it for today?
That is it for today.
Does
That is,
anybody have
Those
any
were wonderful.
questions? Those are great stories.
Those were wonderful.
Those were pretty amazing.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like every time I do this work, I learn something new. Spirit
Me
shows me
too.
something new every time that I had no clue about, that I didn't, and it's always mind blowing, like, whoa, you guys are so cool.
I have to admit, whenever I'm working with the Akashic Records Masters, I am always blown away.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Oh my
things that we are able to have done through the masters, the healings and stuff.
God.
If you guys haven't seen Terry's healings, is it the Metatron healings? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. Well, it started out with Metatron. Yeah, Metatron kicked it
But what's
off.
the name of the series?
It's called Healing Series.
Akashic, Akashic,
Akashic Healing Series.
and it's
Yeah,
on your channel. And
right,
there's three of them, and Jean is with you. Sun Psychic Jean is
right.
with you as your hype
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
And you have done three major healings. The first healing was what?
Well, actually, I've done 5 now.
Oh,
But
wow.
so the first one, they want. So what happens with this show is they tell me about 2 days on a Sunday. They tell me what they want to heal, and then on the day of, they tell me what they're going to do.
Right.
So I'm not the one doing the healing. I'm the one, the pipe. I'm just the
Mhm.
conduit telling you what they want to do. And so the first one's been self-forgiveness, because believe it or not, it's easier to forgive someone else, but it's hard to forgive yourself.
Exactly.
I have found that to be true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then steadiness. They want us to have more steadiness in our life. Um, and then this last one, they did a 3-part healing. And so the first one was they wanted to heal self-esteem to restore worthiness.
Mhm.
The second one then was to heal religious manipulation or abuse. And because they want to restore confidence in yourself and how you interact with the other
Mhm.
side. And then the third one was to strengthen and restore the psychic connection to the other side. And they told me that all 3 of these go together in order to bring about spiritual freedom. They
I
want us to
love
have
that. Now,
spiritual
it doesn't
freedom.
matter where you were there at the time or if you watch them after. So please, 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 if you haven't seen them, go
Go.
watch them in order. It's worth it. Um, I felt the energies change in all three of those. So in myself. So
Right.
I truly
Well,
believe that they are healing energies.
yeah. So what they do during these, they don't do it exactly the same every time, but sometimes they do, is they go back and they heal. They go back to the 0 point, the
Mhm.
point where your soul was created, where you were broken off a part of God. You were all a little bit of God, and your soul started to have lives. And so they go back and they pull out the bad stuff of whatever they're going to do, and they name it. And then what they're also doing is they everyone who's done this with me so far, they put words in their head of what to remove. And
Mhm.
so what I want is people in the chat to go ahead and put those words in there so I can add them to the prayer of what to remove. And then they clear that. And again, they give people the chance to put in what they want cleared, the
Yeah.
words that they want cleared.
And you can do it after the fact as well. As
Mhm.
you're watching, you can do the words
Yeah,
after.
yeah. And then they go and pull out all the strengths of your ancestors, all the good things that happened. Then they pull that through your current life and out into the future so that you have uh, resources. So these resources are yours forever to use. And the clearing is to clear those things forever. And what they want is that they won't take away the memory, but the memory is no longer has any power. So you
No
remember
emotion
it,
attached to it.
but
Yeah.
it's more like, that was interesting. I'm glad I'm not like that now. And you
Yeah,
just move on. There's no more fretting over it and hating yourself over it. And
right.
it's really nice. And this was kicked off by a healing that Metatron wanted to do. And I noticed that it takes for the Metatron healing, takes about 2 weeks. And then it suddenly hits you. And like for me, 2 weeks after Metatron did that, because remember, I'm getting healed as we're doing this too. I don't
Mhm.
do these. I suddenly became an adult. It felt like the world got lifted off my shoulders and suddenly everything was easy to do. It was easy to go in there and do the dishes. Before, I had an argument with myself, like, I don't want to do it. I want to put it off. Don't make me do it,
You
Mom.
sound like me.
Yeah, you know,
I'm with you. All of a sudden, I'm doing the dishes and I don't care.
I'm making
I thought
thumbnails
it
for
was Ozempic.
shows.
I thought Ozempic did it. It was
I,
Metatron.
I still have my kind of light, childlike spirit, but I don't have that heaviness anymore that says, "Oh, do I gotta do
I
that?"
gotta be growed up.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that. That was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. That's great. Well, what do you got coming up?
So on Monday, well, actually Sunday, I'm with Allie on her morning show at 10 on Sunday.
Right.
And then on Monday, I'm with Jean and Sun Psychic Jean and Wisdom Seeker Joan answering
Oh, fun.
psychic medium questions. And then on Tuesday, we'll have the healing. And I
So you're
don't
going
know
to continue to do them on Tuesdays?
yes, Tuesday
Oh,
at
good.
3 p.m. Pacific time. And this time, this may change because it's not Sunday, but I think it's going to be on jealousy. So,
Good. Good
yeah.
one. That's a good one. Well, we've got Illumination Portal coming. Valerie B. talking about the full moon that's coming up. Yay.
Mhm.
She'll be here tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, we're going to continue on our series about the power of words. They're always at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then, wow, next weekend we have Sherry Trancing with Spirit on, I believe, on Saturday.
Oh,
If that isn't that the 30th? Yeah, she's gonna
yeah.
be on. So that we got a good week coming up too.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Sherry's one of my classmates too.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
She's truly amazing. It'll be great to have her on. We've never had her on before, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here with your tales. Now go fill up and come back soon.
Continue.
But I
to
know
grow.
you're headed out of town at the end of April.
Yes,
You're going back.
I will go back to Japan next month for a month, but I'll still be doing things.
Good.
Oh, I should say about one new thing. I have finally embraced TikTok, and I am pulling oracle cards on TikTok once a day. And you can just find me at Kigaru Spiritual Journeys if you want to see what I'm doing.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you'll have to send me your TikTok web address or whatever it is, so I can add that to your information.
Right.
Okay, I will.
I think you've got me thinking about TikToking.
Yeah.
After our conversation yesterday.
I think I've had a TikTok account for a year, but I haven't been TikToking.
Me too. I've
until
had it
now.
for at least 2 years, and I've never been on it.
Never really embraced it.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, but I'm
Well,
starting.
everybody, thanks for being here. Please
We
go
really
out.
appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah, we do
shalom.
appreciate it. We love each and every one of you, and go out and shine your light and have a
And take
wonderful
care
rest
of
of
you. And thank you so
Yeah.
much, Terri.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting. Thank you for letting me tell these crazy tales.
We thoroughly
I
enjoy
love
it.
them. I can't get enough of them.
Yes.
They're just amazing, and they're different every time. So thank you very much for being here. And bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Na, na, na.